Good evening, everyone. Ethan Stieber here with Stieber Weather Forecasting. I've got a really quick Monday night update for the severe weather chances for tomorrow. I'll try to have another update out, hopefully tomorrow morning. If not, I'll update you throughout the day. So let's dive right in. Let's see what we're looking at. Storm Prediction Center has continued on with a slight risk. This is the day 2 map, so I'll walk you through each of the probabilities here in a second. Again, most of the area is under a slight risk for severe weather. Best timing for this looks to be from about 6 p.m. till about midnight, maybe 2 a.m. At the latest across the area. So let's look at the categorical risks. Start off here with the tornado risk. Notice all of the areas in what we call a 2% tornado threat, low, but definitely not zero. The best tornado threat from this storm system is going to be much further to the north, say Bloomington, Champaign, and points to the east from there. That's where we look to see the biggest thunderstorm development and the most kind of tornadic explosive development out of this. Next one up is the wind. Notice I think wind and hail is really going to be the biggest threats out of this system. We're looking at a 15% wind threat. This is kind of what's driving that slight risk. So damaging winds, of course, remember damaging winds are 60 mile an hour plus to be kind of considered in the severe wind threat. Next one up is the severe hail outlook. Notice this, anytime that you see a hatched area in any sort of severe weather outlooks, the hatched area is always where the most significant chance of this is. Again, notice that is up to the north and to the east of our area. So we don't have much in the way of hail. Notice most of the area, especially Route 50 north, is under that 15% hail threat. We could see a little bit of hail out of the storms, but really hail and damaging winds are going to be the biggest threat with a little bit of tornado threat. Next one up, just to show you, these are the Colorado State University models, the machine learning probabilities, what they're forecasting. Notice if we look at the tornado threat, the wind threat, and the hail threat, notice they pretty well say the same thing. If you notice the tornado threat, it's got us and a little bit stronger, kind of a 10% chance. We'll see if that pans out. I really think the bulk of the tornado potential is going to be much off to our north, pretty similar to what the Storm Prediction Center is saying. It's got us in a 30% hail risk, as well as a 30% severe wind risk. These probabilities are a little bit higher than the Storm Prediction Center. We'll see if these pan out, especially with the overnight models and on into the morning. The Storm Prediction Center could very well put out an enhanced risk for our area if that happens. Of course, I'll pass that along and let you know. But if they do, it would most likely be driven by severe wind and severe hail, not so much that tornado threat. So let's dive right into the forecast models and see what we are looking at. We've got 3 different models to look at. First one is the 3-kilometer NAM. Basically, it's a high-resolution model, American model run. And the next 2 that I will show you are the HRRR. This is kind of one of our most high-res model data that we can look at. So first one up is the 3-kilometer NAM. We're going to pick this up at 11 p.m. Tomorrow night. Notice if we back this up a little bit before, nothing really going on. This starts at 6 p.m. Notice maybe some light rain showers, but nothing much there. I think this model is underdoing it just a little bit. It keeps those thunderstorm development off well until after midnight. Notice this is 1 a.m. And we're looking at a line of severe weather off to our west, say roughly around that I-57 corridor, with some storms forming out in front of it. By 2 p.m., notice that line is pretty well defined coming into our southwestern areas, or southeastern areas rather. Right along here, just for reference, is that US 50 corridor. And right about here is about the only area. So those storms do look to be moving in, according to this model, about 2 a.m. They'll be well out of here. Notice they form into a pretty strong line as they move off to the state line and points east, but then they dissipate as they go further into Indiana and on into Kentucky. That's one model run. Next model run, this is the afternoon model run of the HRRR. We're going to pick this up at 7 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Notice skies are pretty well dry, but watch how quick these storms will develop. So there's 7 a.m. By 8 p.m., we are already looking at thunderstorm development out ahead of the front. The front is still back here, kind of in west central Illinois and on into Missouri. Still looking at some thunderstorm development with that. Those storms will continue to bubble up. We're going to have to watch if they stay more cellular in nature. Notice all these individual cells could pose a little bit stronger of a hail and tornado threat, just because the storms don't have to share energy as they would in a linear mode. So if they can stay cellular, and if they can break what we call the cap in the atmosphere, we'll have to keep an eye on that for tomorrow. As it moves on later, notice those storms kind of get out of here. Maybe a second wave of severe weather comes in. This is midnight now, Tuesday night. Maybe a second wave of storms comes through as we move throughout the overnight. But notice the 6 a.m. Wednesday morning, those storms are well off into our east. Last model run is the evening run of the HRRR. Again, we're going to pick this up in the afternoon hours. Let me put this up. This is 6 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. No thunderstorm development yet. As we go further along, here's 7, 8 o'clock. Still some thunderstorm development. This one isn't quite as bullish with the thunderstorm development. Notice here as we go to 9, 10, 11 o'clock, we're seeing a little bit of thunderstorm development, especially along that US 50 corridor and points to our south and west. By midnight, notice we have a pretty definitive line of storms moving through our southernmost counties, and that all moves off to our east, especially by about 2 a.m. So, the biggest thing with these storms, I mentioned it earlier, is we're going to have something called a cap in the atmosphere. What that is, it works very similar to a ball cap that you or I would wear. What that cap does is it's a warm, stable level of air higher, a couple thousand feet up in the atmosphere. What happens is as these storms are trying to form, they've got to bust through that cap and they've got to break through it in order to tap the colder air aloft and really start to expand and become kind of explosive in their thunderstorm development. Right now, this cap looks to be pretty strong tomorrow. If these storms are able to break that cap, we could be talking about a little bit stronger severe weather threat. If the cap stays in place, severe weather threat goes down substantially. We may still see some isolated storms, but nothing is major. I can almost guarantee the National Weather Service will be doing more weather balloon launches tomorrow. That's how they measure where the cap is, and they will be, staying on top of that tomorrow. So we'll have a lot of up-to-the-minute latest data to look at that. If anything changes tomorrow morning, hopefully I can get another video out tomorrow morning. If not, check for updates throughout the day. If we have an enhanced risk, I'll make sure to let you know that. And of course, if any severe weather watches or warnings come up throughout the area, I will do my best to pass those along via Facebook. Make sure you have another way to get severe weather warnings as well. Best things are NOAA weather radios are always a good go-to. Those are broadcast by the National Weather Service, and those are kind of your most reliable option. Next option is any other weather apps you may have. Those are always good. TV and radio, I know that's kind of old school, but TV and radio really do a good job of pushing out those severe weather alerts. So have multiple ways to receive warnings tomorrow. Stay weather aware. This looks to be an evening system. Again, if we go back to our slight risk map, again, looking probably about 6 to 12 p.m., or not p.m., 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. tomorrow, maybe on into the 1, 2 o'clock hour. These will be well out of the way as you get ready for your morning commutes tomorrow morning. So check back tomorrow for updates. For Steeper Weather Forecasting, I'm forecaster Ethan Steeper.